Now, for more on the economics of museums, we're joined by Jae Soo, Director and CEO of Asian Art Museum. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So let's start by looking at some comparisons here. Why do you think the number of museums and the coverage of museums are much lower in China compared with the US?
Because the museum development in China is relatively recent. The statistics tells us in 1978, after Cultural Revolution, China had only about 350 museums. Then, by 2005-04, they have about 1,500, so 5 times more. Within the next 10 years, from 1,500 to now about 4,700, and they're 3 times more. So given the ratio of development, I'm very confident China will have many, many more museums. And of course, by comparison with the United States, the museums are still far fewer in China. And in the States, we have about 35,000 museums all across the nation. The museum started in 18th century, really. So we have 200 years, if you will, and a long development. And this is tremendous. And the museum has become an essential part of civic life in the States. So,
right.
And more so in that case than McDonald's. I believe there's only about 14,000 McDonald's in the States. We have 35,000, so it's really good. So China has a long way to catch up, but China is doing excellently.
Now, we're certainly seeing that the majority of museums in China are located in these eastern coastal areas like Shanghai. What sort of correlation are you seeing between the location of museums and economic growth in those areas?
Yeah, that's very natural. The economic growth and the museum development come hand in hand because museums are very expensive to run, not only financially, but also requires a diversity of talents. Scholars, educators, volunteers, people have many different expertise. So economic development is an engine by which museum growth can be driven. So it's very natural. But my hope is that indeed, as China develops further, and more museums will be developed in the rural areas.
Now, clearly, expertise that helps come to these museums, it doesn't come cheaply, but still lots of museums around the world don't charge admission. So how do they usually fund themselves?
Yeah, museums should never make a profit. Museums are there to serve people as a platform of education, as a wonderful, meaningful source of leisure activities to improve the quality of life. So that's why we call museum nonprofit organizations. For United States in particular, the financial model is really a diversity of incomes. Actually, around 10 to 12% of income from individual donations. Another 10 to 12% come from foundation and corporate donations. And then the invest income takes about 20% in the form of income from endowments. So combine these sources, of course, you have about close to half of all the revenues you need. Then there are the government grants, takes about another 10 to 15%. Then the earned income, the ticketing, the rentals, the store, the cafe.
Right.
So the business model is really a diversity of incomes, mostly non-governmental.
Now, speaking of good business models, what are some of the new ways and trends that you're seeing that museums are really using to try and lure in more visitors?
Today, the museums are competing with a whole rich area of entertainment opportunities. So museum has to focus on experience. No matter what the museum's content is, the experience must be relevant and engaging. Make it irresistible. So using new technology, for example, such as digital technology, to tell multiple stories, to make the story entertaining to different audiences is very, very important. So in my view, art and technology should form a happy marriage.
And just quickly, why do you think some museums that do charge still don't make a profit?
Because the museum is a very, again, expensive proposition. By our United States statistics, we spend about $55 on each visitor. Yet the ticketing only takes for about $4. If you include all the other revenues, everything included, the museum make about $8 out of each person.
Right.
But yet spend $55 to get, to serve that person. That's why in some museums, ticketing is still important, but never is a primary source of income.
Certainly a tough return on investment. Thank you. We'll have to leave it there. Jay Su, Director and CEO of the Asian Art Museum.
Thank you.